Hey guys, and welcome back to Hoosier Hardware, and today we're looking at this PC and just the anatomy of it. And this is like the all compromises, nothing goes how you want it to, but this is what you end up with PC. And you can get this without even having to resort to a pre-built PC, which if you've watched some of Gamers Nexus's recent videos, then you may know they can be a little bit disappointing. You'll notice this thing actually is fully put together and actually boots. But that's not what we're really looking at today. We are looking at the anatomy of this PC. So yeah, let's dive into what type of money you're looking at if you're gonna build something like this and why it's just not ideal. So first and foremost, I should kind of mention the purpose of this video. It's just really here to illustrate, at least as of June of 2021, what the current market for building a DIY PC is and where you might have to cut some corners in order to actually find yourself with a functioning gaming PC that can at least do a reasonable job of playing video games and get you into the game, whether it's Fortnite, CSGO, COD, whatever you're playing. At least this PC can get you up and running pretty much with everything, except if you're talking about something like Cyberpunk that is just very, very demanding. But otherwise, you can at least get playable frame rates with a PC like this. So the first piece of anatomy of this PC is actually the chassis itself. Now, I'm using an S340 Elite from NZXT, but the fact of the matter is this case has just sort of been laying around for a little bit since I upgraded my main rig. So the first tip, if you're looking to save a little bit of money when you're building a PC in the hope of at least spinning it on a GPU down the road, or really a GPU right now, just get up and running, is save as much money as you can on the case. Now, obviously, the best way to save money is to get a free case, but if you can't get a free case, there are a ton of really good options, especially with the micro ATX form factor right about now that have nice mesh front panels. But if you can find a used case or one that will just suit your needs in general, which this S340 Elite does. Now, I don't like to value things when I'm sort of parting out a build. I don't like to value things at free, even if I did acquire free. So I would look for somewhere in the $50 range for your case, because you can get yourself a nice case that can be carried forward, have plenty of upgrade capacity while suiting your needs and still looking great. So that 50-ish, maybe pushing it up to about $60 at sort of the high end of what you should be spending on a case to get yourself up and running. That'll do a good job of giving you a box to put all your components in. Now, up next is the platform, and this system actually does a great job of illustrating just how much money you can save on the actual platform itself. And when I say platform, what I'm really talking about here is the motherboard, CPU, and RAM, and since a CPU does need a cooler, also the cooler. And for that, we have an X99 combo. Now, this is one of those Chinese X99 motherboards that is brand new, except that the chipset is being reused from likely an old server motherboard that has been hacked into pieces and the chipset harvested out. But regardless, the motherboard itself is brand new, and you can get these combos with a 2630 LV3, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, and the CPU for right around $200 on AliExpress, and I'll link that down below in case you're interested in the exact combo that I used. And then this Snowman cooler is right around $20. So for the CPU, motherboard, RAM, and the CPU cooler, you're looking at $220 to get yourself 6 cores, 12 threads. Now, they are clocked very low, but for esports titles and really even a lot of AAA titles, that's actually going to be enough to get you up and running, especially considering the GPU we're going to be pairing with this system, which obviously is sitting right in front of you, the GTX 1063 gig there. It's not exactly an over-the-top GPU, so the CPU bottleneck that may be present, it's not really going to be a big deal when it's paired with a lower-end GPU like this. Now, for storage, one of the things I like about these X99 motherboards is they do support NVMe drives, so I recommend getting yourself a commodity class NVMe drive, something like it's in a case, but I have an ADATA 512 gigabyte NVMe drive here that can work perfectly in this motherboard. You can pick up these commodity class ones for probably $60 to $65. I'll link one in the description down below that's cheap and should serve you just nicely. It'll give you plenty of space for your operating system as well as several of your favorite games, and then if if you do need more storage for maybe retro games or just media or whatever the case is, you can always add a mass storage hard drive, which are quite inexpensive at this point. But I do recommend about 512 gigabytes of SSD space to at least start out with, and you can always add more later on down the road. Now for the power supply, we have an EVGA 450 watt unit here, which on their B-Stock website, if you're in the United States, you can probably pick these up pretty much all day long for about $35. Now the good news is, regardless of whether they're in stock on EVGA's B-Stock website, it does seem like power supplies have come down in cost in recent months, so they have gotten significantly more affordable. If you're looking for something 450, 500 watts is going to be plenty for a system like this, so probably budget out about $35 to get yourself a solid power supply. If you can't get on the B-Stock website, then maybe budget more like $40. And that brings us to this graphics card, which is insanely overpriced right now. You're looking at probably $200 to $250 for a 3 gigabyte version of a GTX 1060. Now on the local market, if you're looking at Facebook, Craigslist, something like that, then you might be able to do a little bit better. But if we budget out $250 for a GPU, this system as it sits here, and keep in mind, it has no system fans in it right now because they were harvested at some point, but they are on their way. I do have a $20 RGB kit on its way. But as this system sits, about $680 by the time I add in the $20 RGB fans, I'm looking at about $700. So we're looking at the anatomy of a $700 PC here in summer of 2021. It's just not a good time to be building a gaming PC. But the good news is, if you're just looking to get up and running, to build a PC that runs Fortnite, CSGO, some of your esports titles, plus maybe some AAA titles, especially some older ones, then you can still do it at least somewhat reasonable prices. Just understanding the performance you're getting out of these is nowhere near what you would get out of the performance that we had about 12 months ago, back when GPUs were actually available. You could still find power supplies at reasonable prices, motherboards, CPUs, basically everything was at a pretty good prices summer of 2020, but 2021 has not been kind so far to the DIY PC space. Now on the bright side, again, if you've watched Gamers Nexus's recent videos, you know this system being put together by you is actually going to boot and function. It's not gonna come broken in the box and require you to send the whole thing back, or at the very least, you only have to send a part or two back if something showed up dead on arrival. But this is what it takes to get up and running right now in 2021 if you're looking at basically off-the-shelf pricing. Now, obviously, again, I always recommend you check your local markets because you're probably likely to get a better deal on the local market than you can actually find by just going to eBay, AliExpress, Amazon, and parting together something that way. But this is basically where I kick it back to you. In the world where it's impossible to build a good value PC here in 2021, let us know if you've actually been able to build a good value PC in 2021. Let us know in those comments down below. If you put together a PC recently that has good specs at a great price, we want to hear all about your success stories because frankly, there are probably not many of you out there that have done very well with building here in 2021. And of course, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, give this video a like, share, subscribe, and comment. All those things are very helpful for the channel. You can follow me both on Instagram and on Twitter at Hoosier Hardware. And as always, I'll let YouTube queue up a couple more videos from my channel for you to watch. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I'll see you guys in the next video.